Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 5 of the Moderately Athletic Podcast. I am your host, Sam Wantock, and like every week, I am joined by my absolutely vivacious co-hosts, Tyler Noctigal and Ethan Decker. Fellas, what is going on?
Yo, can we get a dictionary check on the word vivacious, please?
I will look it up. I actually don't know what it means, but I
You could
thought
have
it was
gone
a
with
nice...
You could have gone with bodacious or just like rockin' or anything like that. But
I found it.
Okay, what do we got?
Vivacious. It is attractively lively and animated, typically used of a woman.
ooh, okay. You know what?
Yeah.
I
Alright.
respect the grammar. You look like a man who reads.
I know that people listening have never seen my face,
Yeah.
but know that my mother told me since birth that I have the face for podcasting.
Ayo.
Anyways, all right. Well, we got a little bit of friendly banter out of the way, but we're gonna jump right into what we're talking about today. When you're gonna be listening to this will be Friday, and then on Sunday we have the week 1 schedule coming out, and so we're gonna cover all the noon games, all the 3:25 games, and Sunday night and then Monday night. We're gonna guess who's gonna win, give a score prediction, and kind of explain why we're feeling that way.
I just gotta say one thing. What a game from Cooper Kupp last night. Wow, just amazing start to the season for him. 123 yards and a touchdown is very impressive against that defense. Yes,
That
is.
was
We're recording this Wednesday night, so if he gets anywhere near that, I will be fairly impressed with myself. So.
Yeah, I really liked the part when Mr. Aaron Donald started waving around 7 helmets and just bashing everyone's heads in. That was probably the coolest part
Okay,
so far.
well, let's just make a quick prediction and see if we're right. But what do you guys have in the score being?
Yeah, so Rams, I think, will win, and I think it's going to be a close one, a high-scoring affair, because Stafford's arm will still be pretty good. I think it's going to be a 34-31. Quite high scoring. It's going to come down to the wire, but yes.
I got the Bills. I got the Bills coming out hot to start the year. I got the Rams kind of starting the season off slow. And I'm gonna say the Rams might not put up as much as people think. I'm gonna say 28-17 Bills. I think maybe 2 touchdowns for the Rams and a field goal in there.
I was gonna say I think it's gonna be like. I was gonna do like 31-20 for my prediction. Bills.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous about the Rams this year, so I gotta stick to that. So.
That's fair.
Mhm.
Well, I guess there is one way to find out, but you guys listening will already know how that went, but we don't. We're in the past.
Let's see.
But now, let's look into the further future. The future that the audience will not have seen as of listening to this on Friday. I believe we should start with the 49ers versus the Bears. And I am willing to start off for this one. I think it's going to be an absolute slaughterhouse of a game. I think that the 49ers are going to come out on top, 35-13. And just to put it out there, I think going into the fourth quarter, it's going to be about 28-3, and then the Bears are just going to have prevent, and they're going to put something together at the end. But it's going to be awful. Boys, what do we think?
Like anyone should, I have San Fran winning by a lot, but I actually think that the Bears are going to hold their ground for at least the first half. I think they're going to kind of stick around and be a pain in the 49ers' butt for at least a half. It's the Bears' first home game. It's San Fran's first game with Trey Lance under center, first regular season game with Trey Lance under center. There's bound to be some growing pains. This Bears defense is a shell of what it was, but it still has a few playmakers on it. I like I actually do like looking into it. I do like Eberflus as like a defensive coach. So, but with that said, I like Shanahan more as an offensive coach. So I do think going into the second half, the 49ers are definitely going to blow this one open. It's going to be like, I'll probably say 28-13.
Okay. Decker?
Yeah. I also got the 49ers, and I just don't think the Bears... Now, they might get some garbage time points for sure. I just think that 49ers defense with, like, Bosa and, Kinlaw and Ford up front against that Bears O-line, which, besides, like, Cody Whitehair, really nobody anymore. I could see this honestly being, like, maybe 3 field goals for the Bears or something. Something, like, petty like that. I'm going to go... Yeah. But then again, I don't see the 49ers putting up a lot for opening week. I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say 21-9. I'm going to say 21-9.
Okay, that's fair.
I just want to give one last little thing to kind of defend my whole reasoning. Wasn't it the first game that Mr. Lamar Jackson played in week 1 against the Dolphins was like a 49-6, I think, against the then Dolphins who were rebuilding? I think we're going to see something kind of similar to that.
That's putting Trey Lance on the same level as Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's there yet. I still like Trey Lance as a runner. He in the week 3 preseason game against backups, he didn't look good passing the ball. So, and believe it or not, there's a big difference between starters and second string players on a team. So, and just speaking to the Bears, like, secondary, it's definitely, like, bottom half in the league. But, they got some... I like Jaquan Brisker a lot. I do think he's pretty good. They got a veteran in Eddie Jackson. And, their cornerbacks are getting up there and had pretty bad years last year. But it just takes a rookie like Trey Lance to make rookie mistakes against veterans. So I think it should be an interesting matchup there. So I could see the Bears just sticking on. And it's at home. It's Soldier Field. And the Bears don't know how many more games they have there. So maybe they make a stand for their first home game. We'll see. I'm not too high on the Bears, though. I won't be surprised if it's a blowout right away, though, Sam. So.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we're all pretty much on the same page there. And now this is a game that I'm very interested to see what we think, because I think that this might be seen as a toss-up between us. We have the Patriots versus the Dolphins. So I'm willing to put myself out there again to start. I think that this might surprise people as a lower scoring affair, because we always talk about how Mr. Billy B can make a defense out of something most of the time, and I think the Dolphins also have a good unit. So I'm not talking like 9-6, but I think it's going to be more like a Dolphins win, 21-17. Boys, what do we think?
Yeah, I think I don't know what Bill Belichick is doing, man. Because, like, if there was any other coach in the NFL that hadn't declared an OC, like, a month ago, they would be, like, criticized and most, like, probably fired by this point. But instead, Bill Belichick gets the pass for hiring, Joe Judge, a previous assistant special teams coach, and the big fella, I forget his name.
Patricia,
yeah. A defensive coordinator for them. So it's like, what the fuck is Bill doing? Because Joe Judge is now the QB's coach, and Patricia's now the I want to say O-line or wide receiver, or no, running back. So play calling might go to them, and it's like, what the hell? This is definitely the weakest Patriots team that Bill Belichick has had, and it's probably the weakest coaching staff he's had, and I think that's going to play well into the Dolphins. And, when we did our predictions talk, we talked about getting out-coached and how, important coaching is. We see the Patriots going down to Miami 5 days early. 5 days. That's unheard of for NFL. So this is basically just telling you that the Patriots are unprepared. They are not ready for this Week 1 matchup. And I think when I look up the matchups between Miami's skill positions and Patriots secondary, that's a big difference. I look at the matchup between Patriots offensive 7 and the Dolphins O-line. It's a lot less of a gap, but still, there's advantage Dolphins. And then on the other side of the ball, Dolphins defense and the Dolphins front 7, probably not as good as the Patriots O-line, so we'll give the edge there. But the Dolphins secondary against the Patriots skills is astronomically large. The Dolphins have a really good secondary this year, and it's a lot of weight is going to go on Mac Jones and this running game tomorrow or on Sunday. And I don't know how Mac Jones is going to make it out of this thing with a decent stat line, because his wide receivers just aren't going to be able to get open. So I'm predicting that the Dolphins are going to win. And what is Bill Belichick the past couple years going to Miami? He's 2-8 or something So I know he only has 2 wins, but he does not have a lot of luck down there. And I do think that the offensive skill talent on Miami is just going to be too much for the Patriots defense to handle. So I got the Patriots winning 27-17. Or Dolphins winning.
Okay.
Sorry. Dolphins winning 27-17. Right. Yep.
Sounds good. Dick, anything to add there?
Yeah, no, it's historically you think about this matchup and you think, Bill Belichick against, Tua's in his 3rd year now, but McDaniel's in his 1st year. Historically, Belichick would outsmart a first-year head coach, and obviously McDaniel's seems like a very smart guy, and, it's a little early and tough. He's going to be, a good coach here or not. It seems like he's a great quote out there with, his philosophies and his culture that he's trying to build there, but, I mean, historically, it would be Belichick that would usually come out in the first game against McDaniel and beat him. But like Tyler said, I just cannot see anyone so the Patriots no more J.C. Jackson. The best corner now is Jonathan Jones maybe, and then they got Duggar at safety, and then very mid-30s now. Jalen Mills, and then Devin McCourty out there, and how are any of those guys going to stop Tyreek and Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, Tyreek is just going to feast on deep crossers, and the Patriots have shown that they have they are no match against deep crossers, and that's exactly what Tyreek is good at. So that he could, if Tua puts a good enough ball in his hands, and Tua doesn't have a lot of zip on the ball, but maybe against this defense that'll be okay. So yeah, I just don't see. The matchup is just so stacked in the Dolphins' favor Week 1, and historically, it's can you bet against Bill Belichick? And it's man, just might have to Week 1 and see how this Patriots team looks. I'm nervous about this offense.
Yeah,
and I think that if like you said with those crosser routes with Tyreek, I think even if Tua doesn't have the arm and misses a lot of those throws, I think they'll just kind of keep trying to go into it just because of how open Tyreek will end up being. And then even if they do double coverage on him late in the game or middle of the game and make an adjustment, then Tua's just going to do what Tua does and just go for mid routes and short routes for Jalen Waddle or Gesicki. So I'm going to take the Dolphins in this one. I'm going to go 24-10 with my prediction. I'm going to say maybe the Pats get a touchdown, like a field goal or so.
Okay. Yeah, so never mind. I guess we're all on the same page there. Mm-hmm. Well, now, maybe this is one that we're not on the same page about, but I guess I'll be surprised, maybe, but who knows? I think I want to go to the Steelers versus the Bengals. Steelers go on the road. You've got Mitch Trubisky, who's going to be the Week 1 starter. I've started both times. Deck, do you want to start us with this one?
Yeah, sure. I can lead off here. I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one. It could, Steelers could maybe pull this out. Maybe Bengals come out unprepared in week 1, but I just think that with the Steelers and Trubisky back there, it just doesn't seem like a formula that's gonna work right away. Like maybe like you get a couple games into it, maybe something starts happening. But going into Cincy coming off the Super Bowl run, crowd week 1's gonna be electric. I mean, even last year, when the Vikings went there week 1, that crowd was very, very good, and caused the Vikings to have a lot of early false starts and holdings and miscommunications with how loud they were. And I think it will be tough for Trubisky to make an adjustment for that. I think it'll end up, being a lot of dump offs to Najee throughout the game, and maybe with some slant routes or comebacks to Deontay Johnson and.
With that old line, the ball's gonna have to come out fast. Because if it doesn't, like, that defensive line is gonna feast on Trubisky all day.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can see Sam Hubbard and Sam Hubbard
Hendricks.
and Trey Hendrickson. Yep.
Yeah.
Causing some havoc. So, and then Burrow, I think him and either one of even Chase and Higgins could both have big games, or at least one of Chase and Higgins will have a big game by themselves. And Mixon will get some love in there too. So, I'm gonna go Bengals. I think it will end up being a close game. Maybe it comes down to like 2-minute drill or something where someone gets a game-winning field goal. But I'm gonna go Bengals 24-21.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I have to sneeze. Tyler, you can take the next one.
Okay. So I think the Steelers defense is definitely going to be better than it was last year. Last year, the Steelers defense performed very, very poorly. There were some injuries mixed in there. Week 1, obviously, they're healthy. So I do think that they are going to play better. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at the interiors of both offense and defense for Cincinnati and the Steelers, Cincinnati has the much better O-line. And Steelers have they have a better defensive line. It's not that much better. I shouldn't say it's that much better. They have T.J. Watt, but it's a good defensive line. But the disparity is so much greater when you get talking about the Cincinnati's slightly above average, I would say, defensive line against bottom 3 offensive line for the Steelers. I think the Mitch Trubisky, when he was in with the first team in his 3rd preseason game, every single drop back he had, there was a QB pressure, right, going up against second strings. So it's just like we discussed how Tomlin has never had a losing record. Looking back on that, that's probably one thing that I would want to change, because I don't know how this team is going to succeed with that trash O-line. They have amazing weapons, like really good offensive weapons. The Bengals secondary isn't, anything special, but that pass rush is just going to be too much. Like, any team with an average pass rush is going to be too much for the Steelers' offensive line. So with that said, I got Cincinnati winning 24-14. I think I don't think it's going to be relatively close. Through the game, I think garbage time touchdown or 2 for the Steelers. So
Yeah. I think it's actually kind of funny because we have the exact same score at the end. I think it's going to be Bengals 24-14. I think it could definitely be higher scoring. Kind of when I think about the fact that it's kind of like the Bengals, because the Bengals have like a 4-star offense and the Steelers got a 4-star defense, and then you're putting the Bengals like kind of like a 2-star defense against the 2-star offense of the Steelers. So it's kind of like similar levels of playing field, but it's a definite. I think the biggest X factor for sure is going to be the O-line for the Steelers, like we've all mentioned. So with me thinking very more pessimistically, I would agree with the 24-14 Bengals on top. Moving on, though, we have our there's another divisional matchup, and that is between the Saints and the Falcons. Tyler, do you want to lead us off with this bad boy?
Yeah, I mean, not much to say. I'm almost certain this is going to be a blowout. Like, I would be surprised if Atlanta even gets a touchdown. I would say, well, my final score prediction is going to be 27-9, 3 field goals for Young Hoku of the Atlanta Falcons. I think Jameis is going to have a decent game, but I think Alvin Kamara is definitely going to be the MVP of this game coming out of it. I'm not too worried about the offensive line. Like, Trevor Penning was a fringe starter, so any like replacement he has is like just as good. Maybe not in the run game, but just overall, because his pass blocking is just so horrible. But speaking of pass blocking, Atlanta won't have any. They won't have any run blocking either. Atlanta is on paper the worst team in football, and New Orleans Saints are definitely a sleeper team to win it all, I would say. They got a sneaky good defense, even with Marcus May most likely missing some time here. Did we ever get comfort? Like, I didn't follow up on that. Is he gonna miss time?
I don't think there's been anything yet. Marcus
Nothing
May.
yet. Okay.
Oh yeah. No,
Well, even if he did, I think this defense is pretty comparable. Oh my gosh. It's a good enough defense to, if they miss him, then like they'll be fine, and it's just, you got to feel bad for people on this, like young guys on this Atlanta offense, because I can't see much happening outside of Pitts and London. But I mean, good luck to them. I think it's gonna be a blowout, and it's not gonna be like one of those games where they hang on. It's like the score might look like it was a lot closer. Like my prediction with the Bears game, it's just gonna be a full-on blowout.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was kind of in the same line of thinking, is a blowout, but the one change I made was that I factored in that this is a divisional game. They are more familiar with each other, so it is not going to be close. But I do think it's going to be like a kind of more so a Saints like 21-6, with it being 2 field goals. But yeah, Decker, your thoughts?
Yeah, Tyler hit it. It's just Saints gonna blow this one out. One thing I will say is I bet the Saints are really kicking themselves on trading Gardner Johnson now.
Yeah,
with
no kidding.
With the uncertainty behind May. But yeah, I'm gonna go with 35-10 in this matchup. I think the Saints are just gonna really just air it out pretty much too. Kind of like last year we saw with like week 1 when they played the Packers and Jameis threw for 5 touchdowns that game. I could see something like that where they're just showing off their skill set and their new receivers with a healthy Thomas back and Olave and Landry in there now. And then obviously Kamara being able to be in there with no suspension. And they're just going to try to use all those playmakers at the best they can and show them off against that weak secondary besides AJ Terrell. But yeah, I'm gonna
so
go
drop a hot take.
35-10.
You think Jameis Winston's going to lead the NFL in passing yards after week 1? You got to say
After
that
week
now.
1, sure.
Yeah, you got to say that now if you're going to think it's a Jameis Winston masterclass.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say because like last year he had that 5 touchdown game against the Packers. Okay, granted. Okay, so he had that 5 touchdown game.
Who's it
going
going
to
be?
I think it's gonna be one of the quarterbacks from the. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think it's gonna be one of the quarterbacks from the Raiders-Chargers game.
That's fair. Yeah.
So
Okay.
and Winston that game last year against the Packers with the 5 touchdown passes, I think he only threw for like 174 or something like that. It wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
So, but I think maybe Winston's like a solid 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's fair. Will, coming up now we have another game, which is a Baker Mayfield revenge game. It is the Panthers playing the Browns. And so I'd personally like to lead this one off because I have a spicy idea. Now, I know if we're looking at both teams on paper, we're probably thinking Browns, I'm even with Jacoby, will probably win pretty handedly. But the only reason why I believe that this game, with the Browns winning 31-28, the reason I think it will be close is simply due to Christian McCaffrey playing week 1. I don't know if he's going to die like during the game or I'm after the game. It's just that all I know is that CMC will definitely play week 1, which means that offense goes from being terrible to good. So I think it's going to be a high scoring guy. I think that the running game's going to go well for the Browns and for the Panthers. I think it's going to be a high scoring guy. Fellas, what's our thoughts on that one? Thoughts on the Baker revenge game?
It's definitely the most entertaining game of the week for sure. With Baker making shirts and making some great quotes for this game, but I think the Panthers are going to take this one. God. I Baker's got so much energy behind him. That home crowd there, the keep pounding crowd in Carolina. I just don't. I mean, I know it's going to be a lot of handoffs, I'm sure, for Chubb and Hunt in this game. But I think that Panthers defense will be that defensive line with like Derek Brown up the middle and Brian Burns off the edge.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna start figuring it out once Stefanski keeps going to it after a while. I just Jacoby as a passer just does nothing for me, and obviously besides Amari Cooper, what else is there really for receivers he can throw to? And with that secondary, obviously, we'll see how. Dante Jackson's pretty proven, but seeing what C.J. Henderson can do in like a first full year with the Panthers, and then Horn coming back off injury, but I just don't think the Browns can pull this one out week one. I think McCaffrey will probably pretty much dominate. If I had to make a prediction for it, I'm gonna go 28-17, and then we'll get some great quotes afterwards from Baker in the post game.
Yeah,
that would be the best thing to watch by far.
We might see some jawing between Baker and Garrett.
Yeah, I like the Bengals this game, to be honest with you. I think that the Bengals have a really young, good, fast defense, and like Jacoby's obviously not the best quarterback in the league. I think the Browns are going to have to rely heavily on this run offense, but this Panthers front seven, it's like I said, it's young, but it's big. They have really big front seven. Like Derek Brown is massive. You stop that running game for Cleveland, you basically stop their whole offense. Do I think they're going to stop their running game? Probably not. I think it's going to be, it's not going to be at 100%, is what I'm trying to say. And the secondary, it's definitely above average, maybe barely, but it's young. If they have like a young guy just take like another step in his production, then this defense, like just look at the defense last year, the first 3 weeks, it looked like who would have saw this coming? Like the Panthers defense looked phenomenal first couple weeks, including Sam Darnold. So you knew it was a bit of a fluke, but I think the Panthers get off to the same hot start. I think that the Panthers win this one, 28-21, and the part that I think it's going to be a really interesting game in the trenches. How does this below average Panthers offensive line square up against Myles Garrett and his defensive line and the front seven? Because I'm a believer that the Browns have like a really bad front seven. Like I think that they're going to get run on like the Chargers did last year. Like I can't see. Obviously Myles Garrett is a phenomenal pass rusher. Jadeveon Clowney, he's on the other side, obviously washed up. Definitely more of a run defender now. But outside of them and maybe JOK, there's a lot to be desired for this front seven. They have a really good secondary, but I don't think Baker's going to have to throw that much because even though Christian McCaffrey isn't the best running between tackles, I can see him having a phenomenal game even through the air. Just because, and even running up the middle, because I just don't like the Browns this year and that defensive front. So, like I said, I think McCaffrey is going to come out of this game unscathed, week one healthy. We're going to pray on it. And I think Baker is going to have like a really like mediocre game and then just talk so much shit after it. I think it would be absolutely hilarious if Baker just has the most mundane of games. Like he throws like the ball maybe like 20 times and completes like 50% of it. I think like that would be the most like hilarious thing because the Browns will be like, man, we really gave up that guy, and they're like, he completed like half of his passes and didn't have to throw any. So it's like, I'm really hoping that's the case because I think that's a funny narrative. And, I'm actually I've been thinking about it. I really like the Panthers this year. I think they're a young, up-and-coming team. Obviously, questions on that offensive line and quarterback, but I think the rest is getting there. So, yeah, I like the Panthers week 1. So, yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Cause like I would agree. I think that that Baker's gonna have a very Wentz with the Colts kind of stat line, because it's gonna be
I do
just
think
like the CMC show.
Yeah, I do think Rule and McAdoo are kind of going to play it safe with Baker. I don't think there's going to be as many mistakes like in Cleveland, especially just week 1. He's been there, so yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, me too. And now we can move on. We have a game that is the Eagles versus the Detroit Lions. We have the Man Campbell Lions coming off their hard knock season, and they're going against what many would consider to be the best roster in football on paper. I'll start again. I think it's gonna. I think the score is not going to do justice what's seen on the field. I think that the Eagles are going to win pretty handedly, but I think the Lions are going to have a lot of good things to build on from this game. Personally, I think it's going to be Eagles 31-17. Boys, what do we think?
Yeah, I'm actually. I mean, I'm actually really excited for this game. Just for the fact that Lions O-line is actually very above average, and seeing that O-line against that D-line, I think is going to be a pretty good matchup. Like having, you're going to have like Frank Ragnow and like Hal Vaitai and maybe like Joan Jackson, and you're going to have them going up against Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis, and having like Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell go up against Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett off the edge. It's going to be pretty fun to watch, and I also have the Eagles winning this because I think their defense is just going to be too much for Goff and those playmakers around him for week 1. But I'm going to say it's going to be 28 to 15. I'm going to say that Hurts puts up a few touchdowns. Maybe him and AJ Brown get a couple in there for their first game together. But I think one thing we might see for sure is post game Dan Campbell maybe crying for his team after a week 1 hard fought effort and yeah.
We've seen the Lions perform like well against really good teams. Like they lost to the Ravens on the longest field goal in NFL history. And the Ravens, even though they were battered up, they were still a decent football team. And I think that I really like narratives, and I think that this narrative for the Lions, they're underdogs, obviously. And I think that they're going to come out and they're like, they're going to want this one. They want to prove to people that they're not the same. How many games they win? 3? The 3 and 13.
Yeah,
3 and 14. Yeah, Lions from last year. And do I think they're going to win? No. But I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 28-24. I'm big on the Eagles. I want it to be a close game. Well, I don't know. I want to see.
You want it to be a close game?
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like those are just so much harder to lose, though. That's the thing, and I don't want Dan Campbell to be sad. So,
that's fair.
But I do have the Eagles winning, and I think kind of like the Bears, they're gonna be like a thorn in the Eagles' side. I think that it's gonna be a tough, fought-out game. So is this in? It's in Detroit too. So
yep.
I think that it's gonna be relatively close by Detroit standards. So
okay. Sounds good on both sides here. Wait, Decker, did you interject yet? I forgot.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay. I think. Oh.
That sneeze. That sneeze really messed up your brain.
Brainwave,
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. No. I think I lost like 10% of my hosting power from this sneeze. Anyways, let's move on then, since we've all shared. Colts versus Texans. Now, I do know that we have a very special Texans fan who listens to our podcast, and man, I hate to say it's not going to go well. I think it's going to be like a 24-9 Colts win. I just think that the Colts are better in almost every single way.
Yeah.
Boys, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I think this will be it's gonna be. I'm just gonna say this is gonna be a lot of Jonathan Taylor. It's gonna be a lot of Jonathan Taylor come week 1. It's gonna be a little bit of Michael Pittman in there as well. I'm gonna go with 28 to 10. I'm gonna say maybe Davis Mills gets in the garbage time touchdown there, like Brandon Cooks or something. But that Colts defense, trying to show off Stephon Gilmore now in there, and a second year of Kwity Paye and Shaq Leonard now. I mean, I'm still just Darius to me, but we'll see. I think for the most part, Dameon Pierce, getting the week 1 start now. He climbed his way to the top, but I just think DeForest Buckner and those boys up the front 7 there in Indy is going to be just a little bit too much. And like I said, a lot of Jonathan Taylor the Texans won't be able to handle in this one.
Yeah,
that's fair. Tyler?
I'd have to agree. As much as I don't like blowouts, I do think that this is going to be a good one, a good blowout. I have the Colts winning 31-13, and like I think JT is definitely going to come out of week 1 with the most all-purpose yards, because I think it's just going to be a masterclass with. If the Texans do get any pass rush on Matt Ryan, his first go-to, and it's just gonna be a dump off to JT, and he's excellent after the catch. So, I guess that's my quote unquote hot take. Not very hot, predicting that one of the best football players in the NFL is gonna have the most all-purpose yards. But I mean, by land and by air, I think JT is gonna just run all over the Texans. I do think Dameon Pierce is going to put together a decent game for his first game, but the linebacking core for the Colts is, it's top 5 in the NFL. That front 7 altogether is top 10, and that secondary is good. And when you have Davis Mills out there as your QB, you'd like to see good things out of him, and you'd hope he makes a jump. But it's against this defense, it's going to be tough. And I think, with every chance he gets at playing defenses like this, he's going to get better, I think. But I don't think it's going to be relatively close. So, I think it's Colts all the way here, sadly.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we could jump from blowout to blowout. Ravens versus Jets. Joe Flacco. I mean, this is the other revenge game of the year, man. Flacco versus the Ravens, man. Yeah. Maybe it could be closer, but
revenge games are so boring week 1. It's like let them show off what they have first. Week 5 or 6 is a much better time to have revenge games, but they always like them week 1 for some reason. I don't know. I guess it just happened to be like that because last year the Panthers played the Jets week 1, and that was Sam Darnold's first game as a Panther. Yeah. So Panthers get two revenge games in back-to-back years, which I found interesting. But revenge game for Joe Flacco. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say something about the week 1 revenge games. To be fair, I think if they had waited until week 9, no one would want to see a Sam Darnold revenge game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Then we would have known he was really bad. Just in case they're bad, I think they put him early for TV viewership.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, Ravens versus Jets. I mean, I'll start again. I think it's gonna be another blowout, similar to our Colts versus Texans. I think that Lamar just does what Lamar do, and the defense is going to be good. I think it's going to be a 31-13 win over the Jets. Tyler, what are your thoughts about this game?
I'm really nervous about this game. Not for an upset, but just like I do like Robert Saleh, but starting a year off with a blowout like we're all gonna predict, it's obviously not the way you want to start, especially when you got a young core like the Jets do. Um, I Man, I just can't see any bright spots the Jets having. I just think having Flacco at QB is just like it's like I can't find an analogy for it. That's how bad it is, or similar.
I mean, it's
sorry.
just going to be a scapegoat kind of thing.
I
And
guess,
honestly,
yeah.
Because next to lose, like, hey, we threw out like, yeah, this like, this geriatric goofball named Flacco, man.
Yeah.
So that's what they're going to fall back on if they lose.
Yeah.
So I continue.
But with that said, I think that the Jets are going to score like 10 points, and the Ravens, 31. 31-10 is like, I think it's 31 points is to me like the floor for the Ravens, to be honest with you, and that's even if J.K. Sits, because I think that this offense is going to be very potent this year, and on defense, like I said before, Jets got a few young pieces, and I think Carl Lawson is actually going to be really, really good this year. Because he's coming off of a season-ending injury, so, but I think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
Decker, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I hate to do this to the Jets, but I got 34-6 for the Ravens in this one. You're waving the white flag with Flacco out there. It's a good storyline, but I think you would really honestly be better off with like a Chris Streveler starting this game, to be honest. At least have someone back there with a little mobility, because Flacco is going to be a sitting duck, and Calais Campbell and Owe and Patrick Queen, Michael Pierce, for God's sake, those guys are going to be licking at their chops to see Flacco back there as just a living statue. So, I just don't see them being able to put anything together on offense.
And it's like these Jets skill positions just aren't good enough to beat the Ravens secondary, I'm afraid, because the Ravens just have a phenomenal secondary, and you got Elijah Moore, who had a really good back half of the year last year, but also rookie wide receivers have performed really well in the past couple years, but you just got to think against a stacked secondary like the Ravens have, that Garrett Wilson just isn't able to get it going week one, especially with Joe Flacco at QB. So, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, these past two games have been very much David versus Goliath matchups. This next one, I think we kind of just got like two Davids going at it. That's the Jaguars versus Commanders. Someone else can start this one. Decker, you start.
No. I'll start. Because
Okay.
calling this a David versus David, it's like not even accurate. This is like a bystander of the David versus Goliath fight versus another bystander of the David versus Goliath fight. like David had the power of God on his side. Jacksonville Jaguars and Washington Commanders, they have like some of the worst ownership in the league. That's what they got behind them. But you know what? I actually do find this to be an interesting game, because even though that the Commanders are favored by 2.5 points, I think Jacksonville beats them by 2 scores. I'm really excited to see Jacksonville's offense. Now, I'm a little nervous about the offensive line of the Jaguars against Washington's defensive line, but with all the names that Commanders have on that defensive line, they played really poorly last year, and that led to really poor secondary play. So if the Commanders start the year off like that again, I definitely think Trevor Lawrence is a good enough QB to expose that. And you might have skill positions like Christian Kirk and is it Zay Jones? Is that the wide receiver too? Pretty sure.
Yeah.
And you might get like guys like that, but those are the guys that are going to catch the ball. They're veterans. They know, like, sure, Christian Kirk might have gotten his first contract, but he's been in the league long enough that he trusty. He's going to catch the ball when you throw it to him. Same with Zay Jones. Been in the league long enough to know what to do. And the Washington defense has a lot of potential, but on the same hand, so does Jacksonville's offense. And it's like, how much, and on the flip side, how much are we going to put faith into Carson Wentz? Because it's like, is he going to be able to put behind the season that he had last year, which people might look as and say that it was a decent year, but it's like everyone says it's just hidden behind the scheme that he was in. Frank Reich made it extremely, extremely, extremely easy for him to look average. As much as I like Carson Wentz and would like him to have a revival, I don't think it's going to be with the Commanders. I don't think it's going to ever come up. And I do think I could see this being a miniature shootout. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. But I can see both of these defenses really not being able to put it together until maybe the red zone and stopping them there. So with that said, I have this game 24-21, Jacksonville Jaguars with the win.
I'm going to keep my thing short and sweet because I have the exact same winner and the exact same score. Decker, what do you got?
No, I'm going to go Jaguars too because I'm actually feeling pretty comfortable the Jaguars will pull this out. I got 30-17 to be honest. I just think that Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, now receiver they got too.
Yeah.
With Zay Jones and so I think they'll be able to exploit that secondary group a little bit too. And I'm just really excited to see ETN too playing an actual meaningful game.
Yeah.
And just see Doug Peterson. Urban Meyer was just so atrociously bad that there just seemed like no hope for any of that offense working. But with Doug Peterson in there now and adding his scheme and calls behind it, I'm just really excited to see how they're going to do a combo of, I don't know if James Robinson is playing. I think he might be. But just be able to see ETN out there and just see how they're going to use him in that old college connection between Lawrence and ETN. I just think this offense is actually going to come out week one and really put up some good stuff. In Doug Peterson's first game.
Well, it sounds like we all agree that there is a God in Florida, and it's on Jacksonville's side. But is there a God in New York? Giants versus Titans.
The game is in Tennessee.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's country music there. There's no God going on there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
slander.
Yeah. Yeah. Frick country music.
Anyways.
I know that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Back on topic. Because I know you guys always talk about how it's Brian Dable. They might put it together. But it's still Daniel Jones. I absolutely don't like Daniel Jones as a QB. I think he's the worst in the league. 28-10 Titans. Thoughts?
Yeah. I think last year the Titans let up the least amount of rushing yards in the regular season and the sixth least most amount of points. So I'm thinking that Derrick Henry gets back to his form. There's been back in pre QB takeover, early 2000s, there were plenty of 28-year-old running backs have phenomenal years after injuries. So I think that the offensive line is definitely going to take a step back from last year, but I do think Derrick Henry is going to kind of once he gets his production up, he's going to take steps back to what he was doing first couple weeks last year. And I really like this Titans defense. I think they're really underrated. And I don't see the Titans getting a whole lot going. I'm hoping Saquon can get me a few points here. I'm not very optimistic about it. But with that said, I think the Titans are going to win this really handedly, 31-10.
Ooh. Dak, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I also have the Titans winning this one in a fairly a blowout. I got 30-13 in this game, but this is a game for me as a fantasy manager that just is scaring me to death come week one here. I'm facing one of our buddies who has Derrick Henry on his fantasy team, and this is just going to be a killing in my opinion. I agree that Derrick Henry will be going out there and just making making a stand.
I think the Giants have the worst defense in the league, and I think it's going to really get exposed week 1 against the skill positions of Tennessee.
Yeah, and like Wontok said, Daniel Jones, like, just not a believer in him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dable gets a little more something, not a whole lot, but maybe a little. But I just can't see nothing. And regardless of that Harold Landry injury, I think the Titans still bring a lot of pressure, and the defense is going to be able to just pretty much dominate for the most part. Maybe Saquon gets some big moments, but I don't see the receivers and Daniel Jones doing much.
Mm-hmm. So the last game was definitely one pretty good offense against a bad offense, but now we have two really good offenses going up against each other. We have the Chiefs going up against the Cardinals in Arizona. I think it's going to be a high-scoring guy. I think that both of these defenses are kind of rough. I think
bad take. Chiefs defense is good. Chiefs have a good defense.
I was saying more like secondary-wise.
Chiefs have a decent secondary.
Okay, well, it's not okay. I mean, it's not like a Miami secondary is what I'm trying to say. I do think that Brown will be able to make some things happen. I think on the perimeter, as well as Rondale Moore as well. So I do think it's going to be high scoring. But I think it's going to be a Chiefs 34-31. Fellas, what are we thinking? Dak, I'm going to prompt you first because Tyler made me upset.
No, you actually got the exact same score I had. I got 34-31, and I think with it being...
No way.
It's a 325 game. I think Chiefs win on like a game-winning field goal, honestly. As bad or as below average as we think the Cardinals will be this year, I think coming out week 1 we're going to see some fireworks in this game. A lot of back and forth of like Mahomes and Murray going at it. And this is like, I do think the Chiefs defense will be good too. I mean, you got Justin Reed added to the secondary and first round pick Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
So I like that from their point. And then I just think that their defense will get better as the year goes on. Like they'll obviously give up 31 in my prediction here, but I think they'll get better as we go on. But I just think week 1 we'll see some fireworks of Mahomes and Murray going back and forth, and Mahomes against his old college coach. I think there's going to be a little bit of motivation there too. So
yeah,
I got this as a big game.
I'm sorry. The Chiefs secondary is just so much better than their front seven. It's like that's going to be their saving grace this year. That's what's going to get them the sacks. So with that said, Hollywood Brown only has his production when secondary, like a cornerback literally has to trip over his own feet for him to score. So, I mean, I'm a little nervous about that. But with that said, I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be 38-31 Chiefs.
Ooh, okay. So I'm glad we're all on the same page about the high-scoring affair. And now this game could also be another high-scoring affair. This is the most recent match between what was last year, most likely the game of the year, maybe even the game of the century. We have Chargers versus Raiders. Boys, do we think we're going to see another game of the year out of this? What's the thought? What's the thought process behind this?
I'm nervous about this Raiders defense. I do think the Chargers have a really good defense, but not having J.C. Jackson week 1 matching up against Devontae Adams, that would have been a really good matchup, fun to watch. But I think that this is going to be just a really nice shootout. I think the final score is going to be 42-35. Chargers, obviously. So keep it short and simple. 42-35, game of the week for sure.
Holy crap. That is really high. Because I just want to say that I had 28-21, which, I mean, obviously I do think could be that high scoring. But, like, I think I did, like, a spit take with no water when you said 42-35.
Well, just look at it like
insanely high.
Just think about, like there's going to be absolutely no defensive play in this game. Think back to the Chiefs versus Rams game, back when the Rams made it to the Super Bowl. I think that this is going to be like that. Like, defense, just like non-factor. It's how many times can this offense get down the field and score a touchdown. I think touchdowns are obviously going to win this game, but like when teams get into the red zone, I don't think that they're going to want to settle for field goals. I think they're going to go for touchdowns. So
Okay.
I think it's going to be very
Decker,
aggressive.
what are you thinking?
I'm actually gonna go with 35-28, and I got the Raiders actually coming out on top in this one. I think the biggest X factor for me is just like you said, J.C. Jackson being out, and who's, we talked about it being Bryce Callahan in the slot now, and then Asante Samuel on the boundary. I do like Samuel's game, but just him going up with Adams, I don't like a whole lot of that. I think the Raiders are just gonna do a little bit more.
The Raiders' offensive line is so bad, and you got a healthy Joey Bosa and a healthy Khalil Mack coming at you. I think obviously Adams and Carr are gonna feast, but I don't think it's gonna be like. That's the reason why I'm hesitant to kind of make this a high-scoring game. It could be a complete wash for the Chargers' favor. I just don't see the Raiders winning.
Okay.
Well. Wait. Is this
I'm sorry, Decker. Anything to add?
Yeah. No. Wait. I gotta ask: is Justin Herbert leaving Week 1 with the most passing yards, or is Derek Carr?
Oh yeah.
I'm actually gonna go. I'm going Derek Carr. Screw it.
Really?
I'm going Derek Carr.
Derek Carr masterclass against the best team on paper.
I think Derek Carr could have a Week 1 kind of like he did last year against the Ravens. Just kind of dice it up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess when you're considering who has the better run support, cause Eckler is definitely better than Jacobs, so I can definitely see where the thought process comes from for sure.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I just want to start by saying, boys, keep it civil. Packers versus Vikings.
You're going down.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. As a Packer fan, I'm just gonna make the safe pick. I'm gonna say Vikings win this 31-28. Because it's kind of a win-win scenario for me. If I pick the Vikings to win and they do win, I look smart. If I pick the Vikings to win and they lose, sweet. Vikings lose. So I'm in a bit of a win-win scenario. Always pick against your favorite team because you look like a genius no matter what. So, but with that said, I think there's obviously going to be growing pains for this Packers offense. Really excited to see that rushing attack. I think that's what's going to keep them in this game. Hot take, Zadarius Smith gets hurt on the first drive, broken back, something with that. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this game. I know we might have a little bit of a living room controversy or a little tension in there, but yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't even want to even think about a Smith injury on the opening drive.
Fine. Daniil Hunter injury then.
No.
That's even worse.
Neither. No. I believe that hot take. Everyone makes it out okay, and we all have fun. With that being said, I did pick the Vikings for a similar reason. I think that while I do think that Rodgers will be able to make that whole receiving room work, I don't think it's going to work Week 1. It's still going to be close, but I do think that the Vikings will win 28-24. It's going to be close, just because I think that Packers are going to probably score on some probably both of their 2-minute drill drives. Just knowing us, yeah. Decker, your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually got 30-24. I have, and this is such a coin flip for me too, because I could just see it going both ways. I really.
Where's
could.
The faith? Come on, man.
I know.
You guys, Vikings have all the advantage. Well, I shouldn't say all the advantage. They have a huge advantage going into this game, man. It's I'm surprised that the Packers are even favored. To be honest with you, I would think that the Vikings would be favored by 1.5. But
yeah, the Vikings usually do have a very good home record each year.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a factor. Just because the home crowds are always really into it.
And with the Packers, just with the uncertainty of Lazard's availability and Tunyon's availability and just the question marks around that, maybe the Packers. I think the Packers ultimately will be fine, I think we can all say that's what we're thinking. But maybe they don't have quite as bad as a Week 1 as they had last year, obviously. But I think maybe they just have a little bump in the road to start off, but then get it back on track. But I'm going to go 30-24 for the Vikings.
Okay. That sounds good. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, we have Tom Brady's Buccaneers versus Dak Prescott's Cowboys. And I want to start because I definitely took a direction nobody would have probably else would have taken with this game. I think it's going to be Buccaneers winning, but
Are you serious?
I think it's going to be 17-13.
Oh, okay.
A lower scoring game,
Okay.
I believe. I think that both of these defenses are going to probably look better than both of these offenses. But I think that Brady still gets the job done. I think he might get sacked a lot, but I think he's going to get the job done. Boys, what do we think?
I think you're kind of you're just over-evaluating how important interior linemen are. I would say it's much, much more important to have healthy starting offensive tackles, obviously, because on the inside, basically you have like 3 guys to block 2 pretty much every time. Maybe a blitz comes, but I trust that interior offensive line. They got some trusty veterans on that team too. When an interior lineman goes down, obviously when they're like Ryan Jensen caliber, that's a huge takeaway. But when you have a Tyron Smith caliber tackle go down, that is much, much, much more important to the state of not only skill and matchup of that team, but just how well they're going to perform. So I'm not too big, or I'm not too what's the word I'm trying to look for? I guess I don't think it's that big of a deal that the interior line is looking a little shaky for the Bucks. So with that said, I have the Bucks winning 28-17. I think that last touchdown is going to come in garbage time for Dak. I think he's really going to struggle against this really big interior Tampa Bay defensive line.
That's fair. Decker?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bucks too. Last year there was opening game Dallas and Tampa. This year Tampa and Dallas. It's going to be a lot of airing out for Dak, I think. Zeke can have almost in certainty say we'll get locked down and shut down by this Bucks front 7. Mm-hmm. So we'll see a little bit more of Tony Pollard in there for sure, putting him out there at wide receiver. But yeah, I just think with Brady and for you want good news that Chris Godwin looks like he will end up playing this. How much will he end up seeing the field? I mean, he could be available, but how much will he actually be out there with them with the Bucks not really wanting to risk it? But I'm gonna go with 20. I'm gonna go 24 to 20 in this one, and maybe a little bit of garbage time love for the Cowboys as well. But like you said, Tyler, I just don't see the Cowboys. Even with the Bucks having bad interior on paper, I think Brady will be just fine because if he gets it out so quick, I'm sure Parsons will get like a sack in there and Marcus Lawrence too. But Brady gets it out so quick. I just think even if they get shoved back quickly, Brady will find someone quickly like an Evans or Godwin. So I got the Bucks coming out on this one for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I guess we're actually pretty much all on the same page for that one. And now we're going to move on to Monday night. And this is our third of 3 quarterback revenge games. This is Russell Wilson. He's coming back home to Seattle to play against the Seahawks. I'll start again. I think that the Broncos are going to win. I think it might be closer than some people might predict it. Some people might think it's going to be a Broncos blowout. But I don't think the Broncos' defense is that good. I think that the Seahawks are going to get their plays in. I think it's going to be a 28-17 Broncos.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be some growing pains right away, but this Seattle defense is really bad. I think 24-13 is just kind of a safe pick. I don't see much happening on the offensive side of the ball for Seattle. But definitely a fun game for the narrative, but probably not going to be much of a game.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
No.
Decker?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 28-10. Wilson obviously coming back to Seattle. Good storyline there. Monday Night Football to start the year, and they're gonna him and Hackett are gonna want to get those playmakers in there. Sutton and Judy getting a little show off, and but yeah, with Geno Smith, you're like with Joe Flacco against the Ravens. Geno Smith's kind of like waving the white flag a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how Pete Carroll can be so confident in it. But I think most of the offense will end up coming from. I'm sure DK and Lockett will get some big time catches in there, maybe one or two, but a lot of maybe with Rashad Penny getting in there, and but yeah, Seahawks defense atrocious, and Broncos for the most part. Safe pick will lock this down. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, then that is our week 1 predictions, everybody.
Sam, before you wrap it up real quick, on our Instagram, we are going to be having some sort of a game throughout the season, or a little competition. We're just going to do like weekly picks between us. So, you can pick like any amount of teams, and so if you pick the predicted winner of the team and they win, you get 1 point. And if you pick the underdog, you get 3 points. Make sure you check out the Instagram for our picks this week and the following weeks. You can pick along, see if you beat us. But I'm pretty confident it's going to be me at the end of the season, so don't worry about it.
That is high praise for yourself.
What can I say? I'm humble.
I want to see, I want to see someone very respected like an Adam Rank to back you up on that one. I say sarcastically because I hate Adam Rank.
What a good note to end the podcast on.
Yeah,
I agree. Quick prediction: I believe that the moderately athletic boys just had a blowout against your boredom. So I really hope you guys enjoyed listening. We're just laughing. We're goofing off, having a good time.
Just end the podcast. End the podcast. We're done.
All right. Signing off. Good night, everyone.